Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And this movie came out in 1975 and stars Jack Nicholson, and it's a classic movie. And I know a lot of people really love it, and I've seen it once before, and I remembered parts of it, and there were definitely moments that stood out to me from when I first watched it. And there were tiny things that I got out of it this time when watching the film. And I liked a lot of what the movie is saying, and it's very interesting in terms of like the commentary that comes along with the film. And Jack Nicholson, I thought he was really great in this movie, and he pretty much works in every way in which the movie needs him to. If the movie needs him to be serious, he works. If he needs to be funny, he still works. He's very funny at points, and his jokes work very well for me. And I also liked the concept of the movie, and I liked how the mental hospital was like being controlled by this one woman, and it's basically just a bunch of mentally ill people who are just there and can't really do anything about it, and she's just controlling their lives, and she's very manipulative, and that stuff I found interesting. And it was kind of interesting in another way that in a lot of movies it would just be a villain who just wants everything their way, and normally it's a man, but in this movie it's a woman. And the reason I find that interesting is because women's rights are like kind of in question at the time, in a way. Like, if this makes any sense, this woman is going to take full advantage of people who are just like going about by their day and just like making them feel terrible, and either making them feel terrible through their words, and if they snap, then they're gonna like torture you. And I found that to be like an interesting angle, and I liked what the movie was saying, because although it might come across like, just from the way that I'm saying it, that it's like this can be really bad and is really bad, I also feel as though the movie is kind of saying like, this is a problem and this shouldn't happen. And pretty much everyone who's there because they have like mental issues are pretty much stripped of their rights and privacy. Like, they have meetings and they're talking about very private things to individual people, and it's like, yeah, they just have nothing. They can't hide anything from anyone, and even if they try to do that, they're just going to expose it, and they're just going to use that as a reason to keep them trapped there, basically. Like, they're not trying to make them better, they're just keeping them there because they can. And that is kind of like one of the dark sides of the movie. And I liked the characters. I think that they're fleshed out pretty well, and the dialogue is really good. Everyone feels like real people. There's lots of elements that I really do appreciate, and also things that I really love. But I find the commentary of the film and individual things that it's trying to say, the message of the film, like everything that I just talked about, I find that more interesting than the story of the movie. Because all in all, the story for this movie is just kind of bland and hollow for me. I just didn't get much out of it. And to top that all off, what makes it even worse is that I found this movie to be incredibly repetitive. Like, it was just the same thing happening over and over again. And at a certain point, I was just tired of it, and I just wanted the movie to end. And when we got to the climax of the movie, that's kind of what saves it for me, is that I felt as though it ended pretty strong. But I just can't stand the amount of meetings that we have, and it's just the same thing over and over again. It's just, shut up. Like, nothing's being progressed here. It's just, you're getting beaten over the head with the same message over and over again. Like, this is a problem, and I get it. The more you probably beat audiences over the head as to whether or not this is a problem or not, the more people will understand that it's a problem. But I would have liked it for there to be more going on, especially in a movie that's over 2 hours long. Like, there's no reason this movie needed to be more than 2 hours. Like, half an hour could have been cut out for me, and it would sit a lot better. And if that were the case, then it would be less repetitive, and in doing so, I would rate this movie like, I don't know, an 8 at least. And there are a few technical elements that I found to be kind of bad. Like very minor things, like just a couple shots were out of focus, and there was some audio peaking in the baseball voting scene, like the second one, and that was kind of odd. And I also felt that there were too many close shots in the movie. Like I didn't really get a grasp of the location, and it just felt a little too claustrophobic for me. And in some scenes it works, but after a while it just kind of gets on my nerves. It's like, okay, I get it. You're kind of trapped in this location, but the amount of times that we're just being shown this, at what point am I supposed to feel as though it's claustrophobic, and at what point am I supposed to say that's just poorly shot and could have been shot better? And even ignoring the overusage of close shots, there weren't any shots in particular that really stood out to me as impressive or that are going to really stick with me. Not that it was a poorly shot film, it's just nothing's really that much of a standout for me. Like I can remember scenes and what happens, but visually speaking, it just didn't really do a whole lot for me. And I'm kind of hoping that this doesn't happen with Amadeus, because I would like to revisit that at one point. And I believe that's the only other movie I've seen from this director. Milos Forman, I think I pronounced that correctly. I have no idea. I'm terrible with names. But rest in peace. He's apparently made some like classic movies that I haven't really gotten around to seeing. I've only seen this and Amadeus. And Amadeus I've seen, but I haven't reviewed yet. But I'll get to it at some point. But anyways, getting a little off topic. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's a decent film that I liked it a lot better the first time. The second time watching it, I just didn't get much out of it beyond the commentary and things that I said that were positives for the most part, except for like the performances. I always thought that they were great, but just rewatching this movie, I still think they're great, and that's really what helps the movie out for me. There are things that I appreciate and lots to explore under the surface, but what's going on the surface is just not for me, kind of. Like the structure of it, I mean, like it's just too repetitive for me. I just wish that there was more variety and it was just shorter. Like that's my main issue with it. So good movie, just lots of room for improvement in my opinion. And with all that being said, I'm going to give One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Lawrence of Arabia. Quite possibly the longest film that I will have ever seen. I don't think I've seen a movie over 3.5 hours long in my life, and if I have, then I've forgotten. So never seen this movie before. Hopefully that it lives up to being one of the greatest movies ever, and I'm looking forward to it. But until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.